What is up everyone, it's TK and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to talk about Legends League and some of my tips and tricks how you can avoid basically not being inside the rank at the end of the season. So you can always finish top 1000 and becoming more, it's kind of luck based, so that's why I'm not going to have a specific guide for that entire area. Whereas how can you go to like top 10 and top 20? Because personally, I haven't been able to reach top 10 anyway. And I know a lot of luck and win trade is up there. So obviously it's not going to be included. But this one, this guide with it, we can actually go ahead and go to top 1000 finish always and every season. Because you might think it's quite difficult. It's mainly not, but it has some difficult path. But if you know the path, at least half of your, I would say, understanding is done, and you can have a better, I would say, time and easier path reaching that goal of yours if you have it in mind. So firstly, we're gonna have early legends bases and statues. Now this is important, guys, because on the early days of legends, especially day 1 and day 2, you need to have a base where it has some invisibility towers or it has a core town hall. Necessarily, if you have a double invis base, it's gonna work with the core town hall a lot better. If you have some core town hall with like double poison or double rage, usually works really good too. Now this, what it does is actually boosts you high up very quickly at the start of the season. This automatically drops you in an area where you can then start running the proper bases for the higher people. But from the beginning, you can also run the statues. That will actually kind of mess up with the minds of those early Legends players who aren't typically the best. Obviously, you might get some Tunnel 16s or 15s in your attacks and defenses. So having the statues in your, I would say, base really helps out. But the moment you go higher, if you have statues everywhere in your base, the higher Legends player will actually notice where your giant bombs are for the Royal Champion. So that's not really ideal for them. So don't try to have everywhere on the base statues thinking it will work. It will mess up someone's like mindset or vision. It won't really do that. All it does, it actually make them for sure knowing where your traps are, because high Legends players have specific plans for every single base style. So the moment the base opens, they don't need to make a new plan for that base. They already have a plan. So what they do is they analyze where could be the Teslas, where could be the tornado trap, depending on the Giga Bomb, where could be the giant bombs. That's what they analyze mostly. So if you have those statues, you will just speed up and boost their confidence on their choices. So don't do that. If you want to have statues and you want to mess up with the vision, make sure you place the statues inside the core of the base, where usually there is no Tesla or giant bombs, and that's basically the one tile gaps like traps basically in the core. So that would be for the tip on that. So when you go higher, make sure you have that in the core, not around the base. Now once you go higher, obviously there is going to be certain bases that you need to be running, but that would be on our other topic. Moving on, now we have pushing after CWL or the last 2 weeks. Now this is going to be a topic where not a lot of people actually know. So if you even want to get into rank, you don't necessarily have to push from the start, because usually pushing from the start, it means you have to put more effort into bases, more effort into attacking a lot of bases, and more consistency. And overall, just you will get a lot more tired if you push from the beginning, which actually you can do the same push with the same rank if you push after CWO or in the last final 2 weeks. This is enough time for you to actually reach the high legends. It's super easy because at the start, if you're going to push, once you get a new, like I would say, defense and a good defense, you will boost high, and in 5400 you will receive some heavy players. You will get into very toxic area of legends where people wreck your base. So having that from day 5, for example, is very annoying till all the way till the end, because you need to be consistent to try to push. So that way, this entire time you're just wasting everything. So you can try this season if you wish to go ahead and push after the CWO. Whereas there has been around 10 days where everyone in Legends who are hardcore, like tryhards, they will be higher in Legends, and from the start you won't have to struggle. So you can go through 5000 all the way to 5700 in literally 3 days. That's all it can happen. Literally, like that's so easy. It can even be faster done into like the higher, like I would say, the higher you go. But there's also some risk of if you fail some attacks, you'll be like, oh my god, I wish I had another day. Obviously, these wishes are always there, but trust me, there is some people who push after CWO and still finish top 50, top 100. That's basically how the system works. You're not behind anyone if you start late. So don't worry. If you're like kind of messing up in Legends right now with the attacks, don't worry. Take it chill. Let everyone go a bit higher in Legends. You can take your time and then come back to Legends League after CWL or even in middle of CWL. 1 week after CWL, you can still reach the high Legends and there is no rush for that. So don't not worry. Now, coming to the next topic, we have the mindset and the patience. Patience is the key. There's going to be days in Legends where you're back to back getting wrecked on defense. There's going to be days where you 1-star. There's going to be days where you fail a lot that you wish you did a 1-star, but you failed like 4 times. There is going to be these type of days in everyone's season, unless of course you are a god in Clash of Clans and you're just not failing. But that's obviously something that can happen to anyone. So you need to be patient and you need to have the mindset in your goal. Do not move away from what you are having the goal for. You need to do rank. You need to go into the rank. So if you do one fail, that's not the end of the world. If you do a 1-star, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you get minus, and the legend system is like this. If you get a big minus, for example, if you fail a lot and you get wrecked, the next day it's actually quite easy. So it's going to be easier opponents on you. You're going to get defense 100%. So use that mindset of knowing that next day, if you do 320, you actually might get a better plus than the minus you received today. So keep that in mind. The moment you fail, do not worry. The moment you fail a lot, let Legends League day finish. Have all your energy for the next day. You're going to come back. Do not worry. The system is not like, you failed a few times, you do 2 1-stars, it's done, you'll never reach the ranks. No, I just told you, you can actually start from 5,000 and reach 6,000 just in the last 2 weeks. It's possible. So you need to have the mindset of knowing, firstly, it's possible. And now, with that knowing and knowledge, you actually have less, I would say, kind of heavy burden on your shoulder. Whereas back then, you may have been like, oh my god, I can't do it anymore. It's impossible. Like the last few days, you may get a really good defense. That's the thing with patience. If you get wrecked on defense, it's the final week, for example, and the first 3 days of the final week, you're getting wrecked, absolutely wrecked. And you're also keeping up with the attacks though. So it's like minus 1 or 2 trophies, plus 5 trophies, minus 10, plus 10, minus 0 or plus 0 trophies. These stuff can happen. But you are there. You are having the mindset set for your goal. Guys, you will get a good defense in a few days after that. Trust me, it's something that will happen eventually for you. If you see others are lucky, you will also have that one lucky day. This is for everyone. Everyone in Legends, no matter what type of push you have, even the start, the middle, the last few days, it doesn't matter. You will have one lucky day in Legends. So if you are consistent and having that mindset, and if you're patient enough, you will be having your best version of attack on that day. So once you get lucky on the defense, you can boost the highest possible. Obviously, we talk a lot about luck in Legends system right now, and it is a luck-based system right now with a lot of win trading. If you want to do certain like ranks, like top 10, top 20, it's crazy. But with the other like top 1000, the moment you get one bit of lucky, you need to have good performance on attack to be able to actually make up for that. So you boost up and you go into the rank. Now, next up, we're going to have the best strategy. Obviously, something that is, I would say, it's everywhere. This is the best strategy. No, this is the best strategy. No, this is the best. No, guys, let's break it down for you. What does this mean? It means you need to be using the best strategy with the least percentage of fail in Legends League. And unfortunately, that is root riders. You cannot do anything on top of the root riders. You can't put a strategy and be like, this is better than the root riders, because no, the failing percentage is a lot more. And the moment like you need to get into that strategy, to learn that strategy for a longer time, to perform that strategy with more multitasking, that is automatically going to make it less of a best strategy and make root riders, which is the easier one to use, a lot better. So you need to be using the easiest and best strategies, not necessarily the strongest, but easiest and the best to perform, and the least to actually have that type of fail with it. So obviously, once you go to high legends, you will see out of the top 500, 480 players are using the root riders. So that automatically gives you the idea of which is the best strategy. So once you have that, you need to put the practice. You need to put that amount of friendly challenges on your bases. You need to put this, you need to do multiple accounts if you have in legends. All you need to do is keep on attacking with this. Now what this does is higher your chance of going into the rank, because if you want to enjoy the game with your favorite strategy, that is automatically going to make your chances of reaching the high legends lower. It's not going to be impossible. I'm not saying that. You may be a god with that strategy. You may be the best with that strategy. You can make it, but it makes your chances lesser than the one that is way easier to use, way easier to learn, and way easier to actually perform in the action on multiple amount of bases with all the base cells. So have that in mind. Use the best strategy of that season. It may be a broken, like, event troop. It may be, again, root riders. It may be a broken equipment. Get on the train. Use that army to have your higher chances to reach the ranking system. Again, you can do it with your own strategy. If you have super bowlers, you may have it. I don't know, but I'm just saying your chances are way less with those type of strategies. So if you want to have those 3-digit or even double-digit ranks on your profile, you need to use the best strategy. Otherwise, it's just going to be harder to reach. Now, next topic is going to be actually connected to the strategy, which this is something that is actually just out of experience from me fully. And I would suggest you to never switch your strategy in the middle of the season. If you're failing with the root riders, if you're failing with the rocket loon, if you're failing with furnace, any strategy, if you're failing with it, don't get annoyed and be like, I'm going to switch strategies. Guys, by the time you actually learn and do all the tricks and tips with that strategy, the season will be over and you're just started to realize, oh my god, this strategy is actually good. No, do not do that. If you fail with your strategy, keep on going with that strategy till the end of the season. If you switch strategy, you're most likely never going to actually end up being good in that strategy, firstly. Secondly, you're actually not going to see the results of that strategy being something that can be useful. So next time when you fail, don't switch strategies. This is one of the biggest tips that one of my friend actually gave me back in town of 14, my friend Amin. He told me, do not switch strategies no matter what type of fails you're doing. If you do 3 1-stars in a day, it happens. Don't switch strategies. Unless, of course, you're hitting with a very weird strategy, like, I don't know, Fireball Mass Droid or something, like something very weird. But unless you're hitting something in the meta, do not switch that strategy. Keep going. You will learn more about it. You will learn your mistakes. Look at your replays. Look at the mistakes you made. How could you avoid that and learn these few things? So the next day, as I told you, you will get a very weaker defense and defensive player on your defense. So you are going to be performing good and getting a good defense. So you will make up for the day that you lost trophies. That's how the system works. Be patient. Keep the consistency and never switch strategies in the middle of the season. If you want to switch strategies, switch it before you start the push. So if you're starting the push, it's like 2 days in, switch. You can switch after 2 days. That's cool. But if you're like 20 days in, guys, the last 10 days, it's not going to make you a better player on that strategy. So don't switch. Keep being with your strategy. You will make and see some results. And lastly, I'm going to give you a tip on the base building side of Legends League. Something that is actually, it used to be 50-50, right? It used to be 50% base, 50% attack. Right now, it's actually 80% base, 20% attack. And the 80% is actually divided by 2. So around 50 to 60% is luck. That's crazy. And win trade, by the way. So with the base building part, that's why it's a bit, I would say, lesser in this video. as it's not really important that much anymore in Legends, because no matter what base you run, you might buy a custom base for $30 out of a company and you still get wrecked. That's the reality of the meta right now. And you might get a free base out of Twitter and it might do better. Who knows? A very rushed base, or even you may be not maxed and get a better defense that someone is maxed. That's just Legends League, and you can't do anything about that. What you can do is, whenever you are having not amount of like a lot of bases in general, if you want to do push, by the way, you need to have bases for every day. That's how everyone pushes in High Legends. You need to change your base every day. But this doesn't mean changing into a new base. This means, obviously, if you have new bases every day, it's good to do it. But sometimes people tweak bases. This in general means you are tweaking the traps regarding how you have been hit in the previous day. So if you don't have base for everyday use of the Legends League, if you're not a base builder, you can do this method. So you can have 3 base per week, and you can have 1 version of tweak per each of those. So you're running base A on the first day, base A plus on the second day, and you're switching to base B. So obviously that's how things go. If you're running those type of bases, you need to have a tweaked version for the day after, because if you don't switch buildings out of their placement, and if you don't switch, for example, walls, you're actually not going to have the base locked for the next day. So you can switch it and use it if you only change the traps. You can even change the hero altars in case you didn't know. The base doesn't get locked. You can change Teslas, obviously the tornado, the gigabomb. These are the type of things you can change. You can switch the building placement just by themselves. So you can switch, for example, a cannon to a multi-structure tower. That will switch them, but it won't lock the base. You need to replace them together by dragging one of them on top of the other one. This way, you're tweaking the base regarding how you have received those attacks on your defense. So look at your defense, check what was the most, I would say, entry with the Royal Champion charge or with the Fireball. Now you can move your giant bombs, your tornado, your Tesla farm, your skeleton traps all into that area. So you automatically having another version of your base for the day after, with a lot more chances of getting a better defense than what you got the day before. One thing I would never suggest you is to run a base 2 days in a row in High Legends. In Low Legends, you can do it, but in High Legends, if you run one base twice, you just get wrecked the second time. That's something that is happening in a lot of the cases. You may get lucky, you still get like the second day defense, but it's very, very, very unlikely. So you don't really want to do that and make your chances of getting a defense lesser when you have a new base or you have a tweaked version of your base. So don't run your same base even if it does do good. Like, even if you get a 240 defense, don't run that base the next day. The system is like this: if you get a good defense and you boost super high, plus 100, plus 90 trophies, the next day you will get wrecked. No matter what type of base, honestly, you run, sometimes you can be very lucky to get 1 or 2 defense, but what the game does is drop you in those players who can wreck bases no matter what base style you give them. So again, that comes back to the patience. Be patient, make sure you have everything ready, make sure you have the bases ready, the mindset ready, get through that day, and then start pushing again afterwards. So obviously, these are all the tips that I could possibly give you out of my experience on Legends League in the past few years, and hopefully this system gets fixed, because no other game has a system where the top, I would say, 10 could simply be a worse player than top 500. Some people are finishing top 300, whereas they are a top 10 player of all time in Clash of Clans, but they can't get there anymore because the system doesn't allow them, and how much it's luck and win trading. That's why I really hope the system changes. I have a very, very big list of the things I would add to this system, and rework fully for this system in Legends League, that I will give to Supercell very soon. Hopefully they will take some notes out of that and change it in the future, because I cannot personally push on this system. It's just not going to work, and something that, for me personally, my goal is not top 1000 or top 100. For me, it's top 10. And me knowing I can never reach that without buying defense or being lucky, it's something that puts me off the entire season. No matter what type of attack performance I have, what type of bases I have, there's always going to be those 10 players in the top 10 that 5 of them do win trading. A few of them are lucky just the last few days that drop high, and a few of them are just, just, I don't know, to just come there every season and change names and stuff, and they have like multiple accounts. It's crazy, but things cannot happen for me like that in this system. So in general, I'm not gonna personally be pushing too much. I'm gonna be bringing you videos on the multiple strategies for the event troops, obviously, and these type of guides, so I can guide you through reaching your goal in Legends League. If you're just arriving to Legends, if you're been pushing but you haven't been seeing results, maybe certain one of these tips and tricks you haven't been using. So use them, try your best, see what happens in the end of the season. I wish you all good luck in the next season. Obviously, this one is going to be kind of crazy with the event troops. That's why I'm wishing you good luck for the next season. But that's up to you when you want to push, obviously. But hopefully, again, this video was enjoyable for you. You learned a few things. And if you did, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Hopefully, I'll see you soon in the future. Take care and peace.